In this video, you will learn how to expand the basic configuration of the MESI mTABLET trolley with additional shelves and accessories. You will also learn how to set up your MESI mTABLET system on the assembled trolley. Adding one or more shelves to the basic configuration. To add more shelves to the basic configuration, make sure the backside of its main column is not attached. If adding one or two more CS4MD shelf mounts, assemble each of them in the following way. Place the shelf upside down on a flat surface and mount the column adapter onto it using two enclosed wing nuts. Please note that each shelf has a weight limit of 10 kilograms or 22 pounds. Mount both protective side wings using the shorter M5 by 8 screws. Prepare a 4-port charging station and a power supply adapter. Mount the shelves onto either of the two remaining slots on the column. Plug an extra power supply into one of the free sockets. Prepare a daisy chain cable if you are mounting two extra CS4MD shelves. Guide the power supply connector along the side of the column and align with the mounted middle-tier CS4MD shelf. Guide the daisy chain cable from the other side of the column along the middle-tier CS4MD shelf and connect with the bottom CS4MD shelf. Place the 4-port charging stations on the shelves so the hooks slide into the back side of the charging station and rest securely. Lightly pull the remaining wire so you hide most of it into the column. If you are mounting a CS4MD shelf onto the bottom slot, please make sure you align the screws with the top pair of the holes. Warning: do not connect two power supplies to a single 4-port charging station. If you want to place an additional 4-port charging station on the top shelf, which is normally used for accessories, disassemble the top shelf by removing the 4 screws of the bottom bracket. Prepare your charging station and a power supply. Plug the power supply into the top socket and guide the cable through the opening in the corner of the shelf. Reassemble the top shelf by ensuring that the cable remains in the ridge while doing so. Place the 4-port charging station on the shelf and plug the power supply cable into one of the plugs in the back. If adding a printer shelf instead of a bottom CS4MD shelf, make sure you mount it onto the bottom pair of the holes in the main column. Mounting the MESI ECG arm. When adding the MESI ECG arm to any configuration, make sure the top shelf is disassembled and the handle is not mounted. Align the ECG support mount with the back plate of the handle and fix it with the 4 short screws from top down, crossing both plates. Guide the top shelf back into its intended position, minding the ridge on the side, and reassemble the shelf using the 4 shorter screws from the bottom up. When mounting the ECG arm, align the bottom hole with the side hole on the right side of the ECG support mount. Fasten the small screw on the side of the ECG support mount to stabilize the arm, but don't tighten it so much that the arm is immobile. The goal is for the arm to remain secure but still be able to move during use. If you intend to keep your ECG module on the top shelf, make sure you have your 4-port charging station connected with the power supply and ready for use. Secure the MESI mTABLET ECG's patient cable along the ECG arm and stabilize it using the Velcro strap. Connect the patient cable to the MESI mTABLET ECG module and place it on the charging station. Depending on where your ECG module is placed, guide the cable so you hide the majority of the wire into the back column. When the ECG is not in use, Guide the electrode cables through the arm holders. Lightly pull the remaining wire towards the back of the main column so you hide most of it within the column. Please make sure no part of the excess cable sticks out of the column. Close the column using the 3 screws that originally held it together. Add the white screw covers. Mounting the Trolley arm. If mounting the Trolley arm, it is mandatory to leave space on the bottom of your trolley for a printer tray. When purchasing a Trolley arm kit, you receive the printer tray with the necessary holders included in the package. Please make sure that the top shelf is disassembled and that the handle is not mounted. Align the ECG support mount with the back plate of the handle and fix it with the 4 short screws from the top, crossing both plates. To place an additional 4-port charging station on the top, disassemble the top shelf by removing the 4 screws of the bottom bracket. Prepare your charging station and a power supply. Plug the power supply into the top socket and guide the cable through the opening in the corner of the shelf. Reassemble the top shelf, but ensure that the cable remains in the ridge while doing so. Place the 4-port charging station on the shelf and plug the power supply cable into one of the plugs in the back. Prepare the suction pump vacuum unit and the power supply cord. Place the vacuum unit on the printer tray. Guide the cable with the vacuum unit remote control through the holes in the printer tray adapter on the left side of the trolley and through the hole inside the column all the way to the top shelf. The remote control should rest on the top shelf. Plug the power cord cable into the vacuum unit. Guide the power cord cable into the column and plug it into the first, bottom electrical socket inside the column. Make sure that the cables are guided through the column holes correctly and are not bent excessively. Next, mount the support arm. Align the holes and push the support arm onto the mount. Tighten the screw through the hole in the ECG arm holder and the Trolley support arm for more stability. Make sure not to over-tighten the screw, as this can damage the hinge of the arm. Unclip the clips on the support arm. Fully extend the support arm by pulling it out. Pull the clips up again to fix the arm in place. Next, install the suction system. Mount the delta distributor with the cables onto the end of the support arm by pressing and pushing it into the opening in the delta distributor. Guide the cables from the attached delta distributor along the fully extended support arm. Clamp up the cables onto the support arm. The small clamp is attached to the first clip and the big clamp is attached to the second clip. Guide the cables from the attached delta distributor along the fully extended support arm towards the column and attach the cable holders for more stability. Guide the cables inside the column and split them at the top of the column. Guide the part of the cable that ends with a tube towards the bottom of the column through the bottom side hole and attach it to the vacuum unit. Note, you can use zip ties for better cable organization inside the column. Close the column using the 3 screws that originally held it together. Please make sure no part of the excess cable sticks out of the column. Add the white screw covers. Attach the gender changer to the connector on the previously guided cable part. Place the ECG MD module onto the 4-port charging plate on the top shelf. Connect the cable connector with the ECG MD module. Place the remote control onto the remote control mount. Remove the label on the back side of the mount and attach it to the most appropriate location on the trolley. Attach the suction electrodes by pressing them into the delta distributor holes. Make sure you match the letters on the electrode cables and the delta distributor. You have successfully assembled the Trolley automatic electrode arm. When wishing to use it, Plug the white cable into an electric socket. When you stop using it or you are not charging your MESI mTABLET system, wrap the cable around the cable management system. Finishing touches and placing the MESI mTABLET system on the trolley. When you have mounted the additional shelves and accessories, please make sure that all power supplies are plugged in the sockets securely and that all excess wires and cables are hidden in the main column. Plug the white cable into mains electricity and check if the green light on the top handle has lit up. Place any MESI mTABLET module on each of the 4-port charging stations and check if it is charging. Only then should you attach the backside of the main column to close it up. Please make sure you cover all visible screws with the white screw covers. You can place your MESI mTABLET modules and accessories on the trolley based on the size of your system and your specific needs. If you use some of the modules more frequently, it makes sense to place them higher. If you have the entire MESI mTABLET system with the MESI ECG arm, this is what the module setup can look like. Prepare the holders to keep the cables secure. Place all 4 MESI mTABLET cuff modules on one shelf, with the cuffs attached to the modules. Attach the MESI mTABLET TBI cable to the module, place it on a separate shelf, and wrap the cable around the holder. Place the MESI mTABLET SPO2 module on a separate shelf and wrap the cable around the handle. Place the MESI mTABLET Spiro on the same shelf. Place the MESI mTABLET ECG module on the top shelf and attach it to the patient cable. If you are not using the top shelf for charging, this is the perfect space for your accessories. For example, large cuffs, additional TBI cuffs, consumables, mouthpieces and filters, electrodes, and conductive spray. Regardless of the way you set the modules up on the MESI mTABLET trolley, please make sure all module cables are attached securely and do not hang freely. This will ensure that their functionality and durability are not affected. When moving the trolley, please make sure that the MESI mTABLET, all modules and accessories are securely stored on the charging stations and that the white cable is wrapped around the designated cable management system.